Recently we had some people over for dinner. My wife asked me to make a dish she saw on Chef Ghada Nawara's page. Normally I don't like trying out new dishes on people for the first time, but this looked delicious and simple, so I figured let's give it a shot. I took 4 potatoes, diced them up evenly, threw them in a pot of water, and added lots of salt because potatoes love salt. Now again, this dish I made is inspired by Chef Ghada. I did make some changes. Hope you like it. Follow along. Then I took 10 cloves of garlic, put them in my little mini food processor here and minced them up nice. Then after the potatoes were done, I strained them out, put them aside for now, and started to make my butter garlic sauce. So I took 2 large pieces of butter, my minced up garlic, and started to cook that on a very low heat. I don't want to burn my garlic. I just want it to be cooked and fragrant with the butter melting. I think this is the key to a delicious mashed potato. If you just want to make mashed potatoes, this is my recipe for mashed potatoes, so feel free to stop after the potatoes are done. I put my potatoes in a food processor. I added some cheddar cheese, and then I'm adding some cooking cream. Now, as I've said before, I don't usually measure because I've made this dish so many times. I know what amount of cooking cream I need to use. Then I'm hitting it with some salt. Again, potatoes love salt, and pepper to taste. Use as little or as much as you'd like to have in your potatoes. Then I'm adding the butter garlic sauce that I made, and then begin to process the potatoes till they're nice and smooth. You can do this by hand, but I love using a food processor. The potatoes come out so creamy and so smooth with no lumps. This is always how I do it. Then I'm taking my filet, I'm cutting it into strips. Now, one change I would make the next time I make this dish, which I will make again because it was absolutely fantastic, is I would cut my filet into smaller bite-sized pieces. It'll be easier to serve. I'm hitting my filet with salt, pepper, and garlic powder. This is another one of the changes. Chef Ghada started to cook, then season the meat. I like to pre-season my meat. I think it flavors the meat better, especially when you're searing it. Those seasonings sear into the meat. Flipping over, doing the same thing. Salt, pepper, and garlic powder. And I'm very liberal with my seasoning. Meat loves seasoning. While this is happening, I am preheating my cast iron skillet. I love using a cast iron skillet for cooking meat. It gives such a nice crust on your beef. If you have a cast iron, absolutely use it when you're cooking beef. If not, just use a pan, make sure you get it hot. Here we are, we're cooking the filet. I'm cooking it in olive oil, butter, and garlic. You can see the crust on this filet, and I'm cooking it to about rare because I know it's going to go into the oven. Then I'm assembling my casserole as the beef is cooking. Put down your layer of mashed potatoes, cover it with cheddar cheese. Then you're going to go back to your filet and add some tomato puree. You're going to get that to cook a little bit so that the flavors marry. Oh, look at that beef. It looks so good, and I'll tell you, it was delicious. After you've got it cooked, throw the beef onto the mashed potatoes. Again, I undercook the meat because I know it's going into the oven, but honestly, normally I eat my filet rare or medium rare. But because this is going to go into oven, it's actually going to be cooked to about medium well, but thankfully filet is forgiving and a very tender cut, so it'll survive the overcooking in my eyes. I know people in Egypt like their meat well done, but I'll tell you, filet needs to be served rare to medium rare. Finally, we're adding some mozzarella cheese, covering it with some more pepper, and then we're going to throw it into a 200-degree oven till it's nice and brown and the cheese is melty. You gotta try this dish. It is fantastic. I got another dish in the oven there that I'm going to show you. There it is, cheesy mashed potato casserole. Enjoy.